Power armor in Fallout is real handy stuff. Whether you're storming into a raider's chem operation, or running into a deathclaw out in the glowing sea, you're going to be thankful for a pair of pneumatic fists and a good 2 or 3 inches of steel between you and whatever else is out there. But it can be more than that. It can also be fashionable. There are a lot of different paints, parts, and unique pieces out there that can give you, your companions, and even your settlers just the right look to tell your Fallout story. And today, I want to look at all of them, tell you how I like to use them, and see if I can give you a few new creative ideas. I'm going to tell you how and where to get everything I mention, and all of this is in the Vanilla Gaming Creation Club. So if you see something you like, you can do it. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Let's look at some Scrappy power armor. This is geared for real wastelanders. I'm talking ambitious raiders, crazed junkyard tinkerers, and nutballs with more of a love for the dramatic than their personal safety. This is power armor, but you get the feeling it might kill the person wearing it just as easily as anyone else. Companions like Cage and Gate just don't look right in a big shiny suit of chrome to me, but I can absolutely see them running amok in some pieced together contraption, laughing as they shrug off bullets and pound in super mutants. The Raider armor is perfect for this. It's scrappy, edgy, and most of all, dangerous looking. There are guaranteed suits in Lexington, on the USS Riptide, Outpost Samoja, and in the Ironworks. But be careful, most of the time you're going to have to take them off the current users. The Overboss armor from the Intro to the Nuka World DLC is the pinnacle of Raider tech, both in terms of stats and looks. Makes whoever's wearing it look like a bulldozer, ready to go right through anything that stands in their way. Here's a tip. Make sure you take the cool helmet off the Overboss set and put it on their suit where you can actually see it for a change. The only problem with Raider power armor is that it doesn't take any paint applications. So while it looks really cool, there's very little modification you can do to it. That's why I really like to mix and match different types of suits with the Raider power armor. You take the chest of the T-45, one leg, and make the rest of it Raider gear. The T-45A parts are great for this, because they have this nice and rusty look that the upgraded parts don't. But even better, now we can paint it. The winterized coating has a run-down, worn look, like an old car that's been repainted a few times with primer. Perfect for something that's been changing hands for 200 years now. You don't need to do anything to learn or unlock this paint, it's known by default. Or hey, send a message with the shark tooth paint and a T-51 chest piece. A paint job that just screams, "Don't mess with me." This is a suit for a real Raider boss who knows he's the biggest fish in the pond. This paint's unlocked by grabbing the issue of Hot Rodder magazine and Zeke's trailer in the Adam Cat's garage. Or how about Hot Rod Flames for the biggest baddie in the business? Hey, when you're hot and you know it, you've got no choice but to show it.
Looking good.
This one can be unlocked very early by going to the robotics disposal dump and picking up the issue in the office there. Or we can get a little more sinister. Give Cage's suit a single T-60 shoulder piece painted with Brotherhood colors. A trophy taken from a fallen knight.
Not screwing around, are we?
Psychological warfare sounds like exactly his kind of thing. You can unlock 2 different Brotherhood paints. The first one by joining and becoming a knight, the second one from completing the quest Blind Betrayal. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from getting one the old-fashioned way. And if you just want attention, some of the gunner options from the Gunners vs. Minutemen Creation Club pack is a heck of a way to do it. Skulls, barbed wire, flames, everything you need to say without speaking a word. That is, if you don't mind paying for it. And let's not hide that chemmed out grin behind a full face helmet. Let's try something a little more expressive. We can add to the scrappy look of these suits by using something like an old army helmet or a welding mask, like they couldn't quite finish off the set. Or use the good old mining helmet if we still want them to have a headlamp. And when it comes to weapons for these psychos, I like a really scrappy suit to have a really scrappy toy. Something big and heavy like the Sledgehammer Maul, or nasty and wild like the Shish Kebab. Other big chunky weapons like the harpoon gun and flamethrower also look great in their hands. Or maybe something homemade like the railway rifle. Whatever it is, make it big, pointy, and scary. Alright, that's the Scrappy armor. Let's put down the jet and move on to something a little more civilized. This is what I'm going to call refurbished armor. To me, this is the power armor of the common man, or as common as anyone wearing a fusion-powered piece of military tech can be. I'm thinking about independent settlements on the grow, places that might be able to pool their resources and skills to buy, repair, and stitch together one decent suit of power armor. But you know, it's never going to be top of the line. When I think of companions I'd put in this kind of armor, I think of characters like Preston and Deacon, guys who represent small factions that don't have access to the kind of gear that the Institute or the Brotherhood would have. And what better suit for that than the T-45, known in lore to be a clunky, uncomfortable suit that pinches in all the wrong places and lacks the pure protective power of the other mainline suits. It's still power armor, and that definitely counts. But anyone who knows their stuff is going to know that it's the bottom shelf option. And it's easy to get your hands on. You'll always find a complete set during the intro quest when freedom calls in Concord. I think the game agrees with my assessment of the T-45, because tellingly enough, it's the only suit of power armor that you can put the Minuteman paint job on. A paint set that you're going to unlock by completing the Minuteman quest, the first step in helping a settlement. This really is the power armor set for the little guy. I like to mix and match with this paint scheme. Maybe paint the chest and helmet, but leave the other pieces untouched, like it was a quick rebranding job. In the same vein, the Railroad has an exclusive paint job for the T-51. Suitably understated for the spies, it makes the suit almost pitch black, blending in as much as a walking tank can. You'll unlock this paint scheme after joining the Railroad and completing their first mission, Tradecraft. I love the T-51 pieces for your good guy companions and settlements. It might sound a little silly, but those big round pauldrons and that sloped chest seems a little friendlier than some of the other types of armor. It works for a community watch type of vibe. And what better way to get the homesteader good guy idea across than some patriotic shoulder pieces? These are from the Minutemen vs. Gunner Creation Club pack I mentioned earlier, and I really dig them. I like the little splash of red they add to the helmet. Somehow that little bit of extra color sells the idea that this is the civilian take on a piece of military equipment. Not that going full army with a green military paint job is a bad idea either. If this is part of a town militia, why not look the part? This paint scheme is unlocked by default, so nothing's stopping you. Personally, I think the suit looks a little plain when it's all green, so I like to mix and match with other colors and pieces to keep it fresh. Speaking of flat colors, there are a variety of different colors available in the Creation Club. These are often rotated in as a free promotional item, so don't be in a rush to buy them. Just keep your eye on the shop and grab them as they're offered. These flat colors can be used to give your suits just a little bit of extra pop, either by tying into the color scheme of the characters who use them, or by matching something about the settlement you plan to leave the suit in. And finally, when it comes to kitting these suits out, I also like equipping laser muskets with them. Get the biggest one you can, 6 cranks, full stock, long barrel made longer with a splitter attachment on the end, put a giant scope on top even though it doesn't make sense. Really fill it out to scale with the bulk of the power armor. Or hey, maybe swerve and do the opposite. Play with the size difference. Put a skinny little radium rifle or a Tommy gun in their hands. Maybe hinting that these settlers' bark might be worse than their bite. You know, they've managed to scrape together the armor, but not the firepower to really make it count. Which brings us to the good stuff, tactical power armor. Now we're talking. This is serious armor for serious operators. I'm talking about entrenched settlements with a militant vibe. Something like an Institute observation post being defended by their best, or a Brotherhood forward operating base in hostile territory. But also cool cats. Mercenaries and bounty hunters who wear their pride on their sleeve. Wasteland geniuses who have it all figured out. So we're breaking out the fine china. fully kitted out T60 suits with custom parts. XO1 and XO2 future tech that makes everything else look laughably out of date. Hellfire Enclave suits. Absolute top-of-the-line gear. Now the T60 pieces you should be able to pick up from the Brotherhood, one way or the other. The XO1 suit is a little more rare. The wiki says that if you're above level 30, you can find a set on the top of 35 Court, an unmarked building just west of Custom House Tower. But when I went there to test that theory at around level 40, I didn't find one. Instead, I was able to find a complete XO1 suit in the basement of the Nuka World power plant. So this isn't a set you're likely to get your hands on until late in the game. Hellfire and XO2 armor, on the other hand, you can grab very early. These suits were added in the HD update a few months back, and they can be found by completing the quests Pyromaniac and Speak of the Devil, at any level. So if you're looking to get an early jump on the game, these are your best bets. We have so many options for flourishes with these top-of-the-line suits. Give Dance those unique Tesla pieces that are found on Ivy, a boss character in the Automatron DLC. Add a little zap to both his style and his punch. And why not give him a little more flair with a few pieces painted with the Atom Cat's flame motif? Yeah, it's not regulation, but if anybody's earned the right to wear some custom gear, it's this guy. The Atom's Cat paint can be bought off Rowdy at the Cat's Garage, but keep in mind, it can only be applied to T60 pieces. I've always said the Institute is the devil, and now X688 can really let people know it with the Hellfire armor. Paint it pristine Institute white if you want to look like the world's toughest stormtrooper. Or go pitch black with the prism shielding paint. What a way to make a statement. The Institute paint is only available after completing the game and siding with the Institute, while the prism shielding is available by default, so that might affect your choices here. The XO1 suit is very sci-fi. It has this completely different silhouette from every other armor type, which makes it stick out. I think that's perfect for a quirky character like Curie, and we can make her stand out even more with a bold paint option like these blue racing stripes. The paint is from the Creation Club's Sentinel Armor Pack, probably the best part of that DLC. Yeah, she knows she looks good. And if you don't want to pay the price for the Creation Club item, and remember, always buy when it's on sale, you can get a similar vibe from either the Vault-Tec paint job that's available by default, or by collecting that one-of-a-kind Nuka Quantum suit found in Nuka World's Galaxy Zone. Dollars or Star Cores, you're paying either way. Of course, Curie's personality is very bubbly, so the Hot Rod pink flame scheme works for her as well. She's got no worries about standing out. This paint's unlocked by finding the last of the Hot Rod magazines, which is kept in Milton Parking Garage, kind of a little trap dungeon. Have fun. But what about our less well-heeled mercenaries? For the honest working professional, you can't go wrong with a suit of T51. And the Outcast paint job, also from that Sentinel pack I just mentioned, is an interesting choice here. It looks great, and it makes you wonder just how much action this armor's seen all the way from here to the capital Wasteland. Perfect for MacCready. But we could always go with the Hot Rod Flames look and save a little money. I always thought this was a sharp look on a suit of T51, and MacCready knows how to sell it. Namely with a really big gun. Top-of-the-line armor demands top-of-the-line weaponry, so now's the time to break out your miniguns and missile launchers. Let them know you mean business. Fully automatic laser rifles look great and feel great with the T60 suits. That big rotating barrel doesn't seem so unwieldy when it's braced up against those giant shoulder pads. And everyone bags on about how big and bulky the assault rifle is. But when you see it with a full stock and a long barrel, painted with the shark tooth grin, and the hands of a T-51 suit, you suddenly understand why they made it like that. This is one strafing run you don't want to be on the wrong side of. Go nuts. You don't really need me to tell you what to use for these guys. It's all about bringing out your best and biggest toys for the most lethal warriors in the wasteland. So you can't go wrong as long as it's big, loud, and deadly. So that's it for our professionals. But as we know, the wasteland isn't full of professionals. It's full of my personal favorites, the weirdos. There are a lot of specialty suits and paint jobs out there for the off-beat and radiation addled among us. Maybe you've come across a settlement that thinks Nuka-Cola is a sacred sacrament from the gods, and they paint their armors in the protective colors and logos of Lord Bradburton's holy drink. You can find this custom set of T-51 armor in the World of Refreshment in Nuka World. You'll find the password for that gate on the roof of the building, and you'll find the terminal to enter that password in near the reactor. And maybe they're at war with the filthy Slocum Joe believers across the way. Show-offs who wear the blasphemous pink of a sprinkled donut and drink bitter and flat coffee. No fizz? Heathens! This paint is from the Slocum Joe's Creation Pack item, but we can also use Hot Rod Pink again to help us out and add a little variety. And don't even get either of them started on the Vim nuts out in Far Harbor. Seriously, who's ever heard of Vim? No real Boston boy, that's who. You can unlock 2 different kinds of Vim paint jobs with more moxie than you can handle by reading the Vim Ambassador Terminal in the Vim Pop Factory. And we also have a few other old world promotional paint schemes. Apparently this was quite the popular advertising angle. Abraxo and Sugar Bomb paints are available if you have the Contraptions Workshop DLC, so it's likely you already have them. These are more paints that are only available for the T-51, unfortunately. I gotta be honest, I don't particularly like the full sets, but 1 or 2 pieces used with some other parts and paint jobs can work. Use them to give a suit a little bit of extra pop, or a bit of a story behind it. Speaking of Far Harbor, when you need to do the captain's dance in style, I see 2 options. The crab-like X-01, eyes blazing like Red Death himself, or, if we're just spending money like crazy, we can take that goofy Captain Cosmos set from the Creation Club, paint it up in railroad black, and use it like a scuba suit. Time to grab a wrench and go Big Daddy on him. I've even heard rumors about a Raider gang dedicated to acting out violent old movies. They wear TVs on their head and run around in power armor that's leaking radiation. Maniacs. Don't let them scramble your signal. These are the D-Capitalist helmets added in the HD Updates Halloween pack. Just do the All Hallows Eve quest to find them. And that's what it's all about. Creativity. Using the different paints, parts, and types of armor in the game to tell exactly the story you want to tell with your character, companions, and settlers. This is the kind of thing that I lose hours to in-game, and if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I bet you feel the same way. So please, let me know. Share your favorite paint schemes and character concepts in the comments. And if you could leave a like on the way out, it would help me a lot. Till next time, Wastelanders.